I know you said you don't make any decisions in the heat of the moment. What did you think of Tito in that fight today?
You know, Tito came out swinging. Tito went after it in the beginning of the first round, and you know, he got caught to the body.
You've had your differences. You think he's a Hall of Famer when it's said and done?
I mean, Tito has a significant place in the history of this sport. Whether he and I had you know, when you really think about it, the battle between Tito and I and Chuck and I and Tito, you know, really did help build this thing in the beginning. It was a big story, you know. And you had people who loved Tito and hated me, and you know, were on my side and didn't like Tito. It was a pretty big, you know, real storyline that happened. And there were times, man, when, and I can be honest now and tell you, when me and Tito at our absolute worst, when things were just as nasty could be behind the scenes, was when he fought Lyoto Machida. You know? And that was probably one of the craziest times in my entire career since I've been here.
What was that?
Just tons of stuff. Someday you guys will see it all, because most of it's on video and a lot of it is, you know, the video blogs that we shoot, those were video blogs that never went out. But
that's when he wore the shirt, right?
Some pretty crazy
that's
shit.
When he wore the crazy
yeah.
shit at the weigh-ins.
Dana's my bitch.
Yeah.
You think we'll go back to the Huntington Beach bad boy?
God, I hope so. No. Oh, God, no. I was, to explain to you guys how angry that guy used to make me, I mean, it was crazy. It was literally crazy. Those were crazy times, man. And, yeah, it was weird.
Speaking of, see Tito taking an executive position in front office like Chuck did when he's done?
I don't know. I mean, you got to understand, you know, Chuck is a guy who I really feel helped us build this business. You know, Chuck was, you know, it's easy to sit back now and look at the monopoly of the UFC, but back in the day, you know, everybody was coming into the business. Pride was bigger than we were. You know, you had any guy that could, you know, when money was easy, you could just make a phone call and say, and raise $300 million with a phone call back in the day, you know? And all these guys, everybody loves the fight business, man. Everybody wants to be in it, and everybody was trying to get into the fight business at that time. And there were certain guys through the thick and the thin that were there for us in the time of need. And there's guys like Chuck, Matt Hughes, Forrest Griffin, Joe Rogan. You know, when Joe Rogan was on Fear Factor, I don't know if I've ever said this publicly or not, but when I called Joe Rogan and said, I think that you would be great commentary in the UFC, what do you think? Are you interested or something like that? The guy was on the highest rated show on network television at the time, Fear Factor. He did the first 15 UFCs for free. We didn't pay Joe Rogan a dime for the first 15 UFCs. Yeah. So there were a lot. Joe Rogan gets paid now. Believe me, he gets paid. But just to show you the kind of stuff that happened early on in the early days, it's easy to sit back now and call us a monopoly and to say all this other stuff, but it was rough times back in the early days of the UFC.